Hello, everyone. Welcome to this series of short interview, 1 year after the 2020 edition of Laval Virtual. As you remember, a very special edition for a very special year. Today, we are with Daniel Getachew, founder of Getachew Technology. How are you, Daniel?
I'm fine. How are you?
Well, very well. I'm very happy to meet you. Just a question. Could you present yourself and Getachew Technology first?
Thank you. My name is Daniel Getachew, like you mentioned. I'm the founder of Getachew Technologies. It's a startup that based in Ethiopia, Addis Ababa. We highly focused on immersive technologies, and we tried prototyping several projects, specifically in tourism and heritage areas. Getachew Technologies, since our establishment, we've been doing some pilot kind of projects in virtual reality and tried to promote, especially Ethiopia in general, how the African immersive technologies could be part of the world. And that's what we've been doing maybe since our establishment. Regarding myself, I'm a software engineer in profession. I used to be an independent contractor for several companies, both in Africa and also abroad, especially in Europe and also US. And I tried to relate the software aspect with the art. And I think immersive technology is the best place. And we founded Getachew Technologies with my friends, and we are now like working on that.
So last year, you were in Laval. Well, you were in Laval Virtual World on the stage you can see behind me.
Yeah.
And you presented a very interesting project about, of course, heritage, the use of technology, of immersive technology to promote heritage. What's news for this project?
Yeah, I mean, that was the first time I introduced the concept of gaming for tourism sector. And it was like most of the things were an idea and with some kind of pilot projects. But after the speech that I made on Laval Virtual in 2020, we've been working really hard to make that idea into reality, especially those techniques that we've been discussing or piloting, experimenting previously. So we done some experiments, some amazing experiment, and contacted Epic Games. That was like one of our best thing that happened since our speech, and they gave us an award. There is a mega grants program, and they fund or give a grant for different indie developers and also startups that work on gaming and also related areas. So we proposed, we have this idea. If you come to the African market, especially the impact of COVID makes the tourism sector really unstable, and a lot of jobs were lost. So we came up with this, and if we make an African content, which is like an actual place, into a virtual reality world, and try to attract the foreigners, that could be one that could give an African tourism sector a good stand, and also will make a positive impact. So they believe on the idea. They shared different things with us. They even shared their opinion on our concepts. So it was like really awesome time we had with Epic Games. After 6 months, they announced that we get an award for the new year. So with that, we launched 4 projects, 4 immersive technology projects, which would be shared like for free for all. The first project we have shared was the story behind Adwa. It's one of the famous battle happened in Africa, especially in Ethiopia. So we tried to showcase that actual time, like a post-war scene. We recreated all the environments, all the story. And we also brought two historians, famous historians that know exactly the actual battle and also the history behind. And they narrated with a cultural grace. And it feels like you are at that actual place with a story in front of you, narrating in a virtual world. So that idea, that's something we have showcased on Laval virtual, became true in a year or less. That's how much we came. And thanks to Epic Games, we are about to release the second project, which is part of the Ethiopian XR program, in a few, like in less than 2 weeks. So that's before Level Virtual 2021. Hopefully, we will be showcasing those two different projects. So that's what we've been doing so far. Yeah.
Thanks. As you said, 2020, as we said, 2022 was a very complex year for tourism and heritage.
Yeah.
What kind of change have you seen in your field in tourism and heritage? Are immersive technology more or less useful now? How do you see this kind of hybridation between both physical location and virtual one?
Yeah, I mean, it depends on the perspective view that we have, especially from the startups point of view or from the tech aspect. I think it's really growing because COVID shows us like the digital way of doing things is like mandatory, especially at this stage. So people are locked down and they are not
Yeah,
freely going to
no choice.
cases. Yeah, so we don't have any choice. Even I've seen some stats that shows maybe VR increased by 400% or something. So the talent is also being required. So the question is, do we have that much talent in Africa? Do we have that much capacity to build those kind of digital contents to the world? So virtual reality, without any, issue, that's the only option we have to promote tourism at this point, especially during the pandemic. But even after the post-pandemic, putting the African heritage, culture, and history for the purpose of like promotion is also one trend. That's from the government policy aspect. That's where the point they are like shifting from not trusting the technology to, okay, this is the only way. Now we have to start developing things, we have to make the policies and maybe support startups, even investments. Because when I see Africa, there are a lot of investors all over the world, but they tend, our investors, especially in the African market, they tend not to invest on emerging technology in general. They want to invest on maybe mobile money or something that, like that works for all. So we have to make, we have to convince different investors, especially to invest on virtual reality, extended reality startups. So as a private entity, it's really hard sometimes to stabilize on this area alone and like convince them. But we tried our best by just contacting different supporting bodies. So the COVID, the pandemic will have really positive impact towards the development of the VR area, the technology itself all over Africa. And I guess other African countries that I know, especially in Nigeria, Kenya, they have done a lot of things, different projects. Thanks to this COVID, they got also this opportunity to showcase as a government level. So I see that, yeah, that's the only options we have, and the emerging technology at this point is now becoming a reality, especially for promoting a country's place. And from the job creation aspect, different tour guides, they've lost their job. That's what I know, especially in Ethiopia. They don't have any tourist attractions, so it's really hard sometimes to lead your own life. So if we just give this, or if we deploy this kind of platform for the tourism sector, it even creates a job opportunity, not for a technical people, but also for tour guides and tourists. That's how they can even lead their family. That's how much it's giving an impact in African market. So now we don't have the options to decide whether it's not useful or not. So our only option is to just grasp and work on that. Yeah.
And then in maybe in a close future, every institution, every museum, every heritage place
Yeah.
can have a virtual experience.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the issue here is maybe the number of devices that let you use the virtual reality products or services. That's one challenging thing. And there are even more other factors, especially the political aspect, the network connectivity. All those are some challenges. But apart from that, having a technical professionals, especially in this field, is the non-negotiable uh, thing that we have to focus on, especially as an African market, because that will give us a really nice opportunity to convince investors and also force the policy to support different institutions, especially if we focus on education. Then instead of like buying different tools and equipments for one lab, having a virtual reality sets could be useful because they can learn, they can see anything they want in a single place. So maybe having all this said, we are like on this journey. So probably it will work. Maybe this pandemic, all those factors were a bit challenging. Hopefully, we will see the virtual reality impacting and tourism and education. That's the priority I see, and also entertainment. That's why we add the concept of gamification on top of tourism. If you just visit a place without some kind of interactivity, it's really hard. So why not if we put some kind of a gamification concept? For example, before I started this Guzo company, before even I joined this kind of virtual reality aspect, I was working on something that I fascinate with. I've seen this project from Huawei when I had a chance to visit their headquarters, and that's a bicycle. You just ride the bike and on the screen. So physically, you can count the calorie and also all those factors. So maybe it has the gene related, the health aspect kind of services by itself, but there is also a game. So it's both acceptable for the adults and also the children. So having this kind of concepts is really helpful to deploy for the tourism market. So why not if we just put this bike in a kind of country ride, something that tells you from different checkpoints, some kind of stories on each checkpoint. So you will have those immersive feeling. At the same time, you will also grasp something from the story. So that's what we are focusing on. And if we keep pushing that, probably this is the advantages for African market, because Africa is a history-rich continent. That's how much I can see the future.
And for Guzo Technology, what are the next steps?
Okay, so I mean, the next steps will be for now we are still working by our own, and the projects that we design, the teams we have has limited tools and also financial needs. So for now, we will be doing the projects that we announced maybe for the next few months, not more than 2-3 months until the 2022 in Gregorian calendar, because in our calendar it's different, and in European calendar it's different. So the time we count. So maybe for the new year, so we are hoping to deploy hardwares for different airports. That's the concept we have designed and prototyped at our level, but we seek some kind of investment and some supporting individuals or government even to help us deploy this kind of tools so that we will try to generate revenue, especially foreign currency for African market. If we just prove it in a one pilot project or in a one place, later on it is easier to deploy those kind of ideas across all African continents. So we are closely working with several startups across Africa that highly engaged in this VR, AR related topics. And I hope in the next maybe 2, 3, up to 5 years, we have something big coming from Africa.
It's quite a big project, yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you, Daniel. Many, many thanks.
Thank you.
I hope to see you in the next Laval Virtual in July, maybe in the Laval Virtual World, but it will be a great, great pleasure to see your new project and to see you or your avatar in the virtual world.
The first African delegation, so hopefully we will see you too.
Great.
Thanks.
Thanks, Daniel.